Early this year, 16 randomly selected students voted on several ideas put forward at the Better Union, Leeds and Better University forums. Any of those ideas that achieved 75% yes votes or greater were passed. These included, amongst others, allowing societies to extend executive powers like access to the cash office and room bookings to other committee members, introducing a kosher food option into the Essentials meal deal, and lobbying the university to use electricity from companies that use renewable resources. 5 of these proposals, however, didn't achieve the 75% needed, but also didn't get the 75% votes against for the motion to be declined. These were then put to a campus-wide referendum. On the 15th of March, it was announced all 5 motions passed, some by a vast majority. 2 of them, however, only by a slight margin of 2%. One of the latter being the idea to ban BAE Systems from campus. BAE Systems is a weapons manufacturer that provides a large amount of graduate jobs to the university. We spoke to Anthony Hadley regarding the results. Before Easter we had the referendum and 2 major proposals went through in the referendum, one of them being the banning of BAE Systems on campus and the other one being the banning of Starbucks. And I was wondering, what is the first step to implementing those?
I think what we've got to do first of all is establish what the university's position is. So, the exec meet regularly with senior university staff to relay kind of the latest ideas that have passed onto them to get their views and to start working on implementing the policy. I think that the position we got to at the minute is we're going to write to Michael Arthur, the Vice Chancellor, specifically about the BAE Systems one. We're going to ask him to implement the ban as soon as possible, work for the university to sever ties with the company. Now, I don't think it's going to be as easy as that. I don't think we're going to get a letter back saying, yeah, great, all done, because of the relationship the university obviously has with BAE Systems, the research funding it receives, etc., etc. But what we will get back from that is a set of reasons why they won't implement it if they choose not to. And then that gives us a better idea of how we could start to work around certain barriers that they see as being in place. As for Starbucks, that's something which I'll raise with what's called the Facilities Directorate in a university. They look after all the non-academic side of university life, such as catering. And because the university actually just buy in the brand and buy in the coffee, it might be that there's a little bit more room for negotiation, but I don't know at this point because I am meeting them next week.
So you just mentioned there that you're going to speak to the university. What is the process if they turn around and just blankly say no? Obviously it's always disappointing when that happens. We've got an excellent kind of partnership work ethic with the university, but of course there are going to be times when they flat out say no. For example, when they increased fees to 9k, it was pretty obvious what everyone on campus wanted, but yet they had to introduce the 9k fee. With something like this, I think, as I said earlier, we've got to establish why they wouldn't do it and then start to work with them to remove some of those barriers. So say if they came back and said, well, we can't prevent our students having access to this excellent grad scheme opportunity because part of the policy says they have to be banned from careers fairs, then maybe we can work with them to look at, potential equivalent companies. I know no one's as large as BAE, but perhaps there's other ways which we can make students aware of major graduate opportunities without actually inviting them onto campus. It's kind of things like that, understand where they're coming from and provide good solutions to the problems. So in regards to the actual referendum itself, the BAE vote, there was only 22 votes in it. Is that in any way going to affect how hard you're going to push the university to put this through, considering that there were also over 200 abstentions and only 1,800 people voted?
Yeah, I mean, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it was a close vote, but it's the same as any other referendum that's passed. It could have passed by 1,000. You only need one vote for it to pass, and the rest is just gives you an indication of how each side is lined up. But it's got as much weight as any other policy the union has. It's the exec's job to interpret policy. So my work ethic towards it isn't going to be daunted by the fact that only 22 people agreed. But I think that the 200 abstentions one is interesting. I think what it might reflect is that both sides of the argument of the referendum, because students manage the for and against side of the argument. I think what it reflects is that perhaps they didn't do the greatest job of kind of summing up why they thought students should vote for or against, because it's a massive amount of abstentions, and obviously it would have swayed the vote if, you know, less than just over 10% of those actually choose to vote. But yeah, it's the same as any other policy, and we'll work as hard as we can to implement it.
So with regards to the Starbucks and getting them off campus, as it were, how is this different from when we took Nestle products off campus and bottled water? How does this vary from that?
The fundamental difference is that it doesn't apply to union shops. You know, we don't have a Starbucks in the union building, of course. One of the areas that the students wanted us to change was the refectory. Now, it's a common misconception amongst the student body that the union manages the refectory, or it is the union, but it's not. So the university have total control. So it's a similar process to BAE systems, although because there are equivalents to Starbucks in terms of the brand name, the brand recognition, there might be more room for negotiation. It's similar to Nestle and bottled water in a sense that removing a brand or removing such a product might hit the bottom line, hit the profit in a certain amount. So that is obviously going to be a concern of the universities. So we've got to work with them to make sure that, you know, students have voted, that we've got to work to lobby them to remove Starbucks from campus. And I'm looking forward to those discussions and hope we can make good progress on it.
Okay, and finally, with the upcoming ideas forums for Better University, Better Union and Better Leeds, do you think that there's anything major going to be put forward for those forums, and how do you think people might react, considering it is the last forum of the academic year?
Yeah, such a broad range going forward this time. We've got some really big issues as well, all the way from whether we should allow nudity in posters on campus, which is obviously relating to a recent poster campaign. So students will get to have their say on that, right through to kind of major issues such as whether the union should pay students the living wage. Now, what the students on campus are going to have to decide, or what the panel will have to decide on the forum, is do they want to see prices go up in the shops? Do they want to see less students employed, just so we can pay our current student staff more? So they're the kinds of the big decisions. There's a great idea in there actually from one of our societies who want us to campaign against the closure of a local care home that they volunteer at. That if that passes, that's going to be a fantastic example of how unions can change the community around them in the best interest of students, which is just, you know, the type of thing which we should be doing, because that speaks so much about how valuable students are to Leeds as a whole, and it'd be fantastic if that idea passed.
And with the last ideas forums of the academic year being held this week, you can head over to www.luu.org.uk/yourideas/new, where you can see everything going ahead to your Better Leeds, Better Union and Better University forums, and express your opinion by commenting on any of the ideas. So the banning of Starbucks and BAE from campus is 2 of the 5 proposals that were contested at the referendum, and it is speculated with only a 1.2% margin whether or not the university will take the proposal of banning BAE systems from campus seriously. This is Dave Tipping reporting for The Essential.